Hey guys, Lemur here, currently 407 LP Grandmaster. I've been playing a lot of Ari, Syndra, and Orianna. The Challenger cutoff's 450 LP, so I'm getting pretty close. I've been kind of stuck in this limbo phase for about 2 weeks or so. Anyways, in this video we're going to learn about how to win the game in 3 minutes, the first 3 minutes of the game. So something to identify about this game is I'm against Blabberfish on his Lee Sin, which if you don't know Blabber, he's very aggressive. And I have King Nidhogg playing Echo. And so Echo's not a very strong champion early, like levels 1 and 2. He gets a little bit stronger at 3, but I'd say Lee Sin heavily outduels him, especially if the Lee Sin has Conqueror. So something that we have to keep in mind is that since the enemy jungle matchup is good for the Lee Sin, he's going to look to try to abuse that. In my lane, I'm Orianna versus Fizz. Orianna obviously wins this very hard early, and I can decide what I want to do with this wave. I can, push it. I can hard shove it. I can um, slow push it. If he pushes, I can freeze in front of my tower. Currently, my objective is I'm gonna slow push this into a cheater recall, which is being on wave 3, then picking up something like a Dark Seal or an Amp Tome, whatever I think I need, or boots, and then like a control word or something. So that's my current goal, but we'll see how this game plays out. We have 2 replays to go through, each depicting similar examples of this concept. Um, so I missed the first CS. I don't play this game particularly well, um, as you can see by my cues. So I wouldn't focus too much on the Orianna gameplay, but mainly focus on the concepts, the macro concepts of this early game. So my Echo does red into Raptors. He actually warded his river entrance here. I think that's okay to do against something like an Olaf who's looking to invade level 1. However, against the Lee Sin, I think he maybe could have warded over here so we could see if there was a blue invade. Since he's pathing over to that side. Or maybe that's a word I could do. All things to keep in mind. So I'm kind of trying to zone out Fizz as much CS as I can. This guy's a really good Fizz, by the way. Probably the best Fizz in NA. And in just a moment here is when there's the real game decider. So here I maybe should have pushed this a little bit faster so I could actually get my cheater recall off. Generally you want to get your cheater recall off on the cannon wave and have the cannon wave crash so it gets stuck under tower longer, then slow pushes back to you. So I think that was a slight mistake by me, but nonetheless, we're going to notice that Echo's doing his blue buff right now. He's still level 2, he hits level 3 off his blue buff, and here I ping that I'm on my way. Why I ping my on my why I'm on my way is because I have prio in my lane. However, I don't take into consideration that bot lane doesn't have prio. It's Senna Thresh versus Ashe, like Zyra, I think. Um, so like I shouldn't expect them to have prio. So I think this was a pretty Ashe Zyra. So I think it was a pretty bad call to go for this play. And at this moment, I know I have to walk this way because if I walk this way, I think Zyra flashes on me and Fizz gets on me and I die. Um, so I think I have to walk in here and hope our team comes, but I think they stay at tower a little bit too long. But we're going to take a look at this, and we'll draw some takeaways. I get 1 stack of my Dark Seal because I bought it early, in case you missed that. Um, so anyways, every one of my team dies. We waste top TP, top's being frozen on, and essentially the game's over. We FF'd at 15. So I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is whenever you're making a play like this to stop an invade or go for an invade, is you're keeping in mind the prio of all of the lanes. So even if you're the mid laner, you're keeping in mind, bot lane doesn't have prio. It's not like my Echo was gonna die here. I could have just, backed off and just like warded our entrance here so that we see when Lee Sin leaves, and then Echo could maybe try to get his grop. Um, and so I think that I also needed to be more cognizant of how volatile like the jungle matchup could be, because if instead I had placed my ward over here a little bit earlier to protect Echo, since he's going for a, Raptors, Wolves, blue clear, we maybe could have prevented this entire play from happening, and instead we could have been maybe the ones killing Lee Sin because our bot lane might have been ready to move up. Maybe Thresh goes to move up, and then Senna last hits under tower, or something of the sort. Um, Anyways, we're gonna go to the next replay of an example of positive, um, a positive example for us because I learned. So anyways, after that happened in the Oriana game, it was like giga over. um, so we're gonna take a look at the level 1. This game I'm playing Ari versus Syndra, a very popular matchup. Um, I might do a full VOD review over this one because I think it was a very fun game and there was definitely parts in it where I was left confused and definitely need to take a look at it again. But maybe that'll be released today or tomorrow, I don't know. So what we're doing here is the enemy team has an Olaf, like we said last time. Olaf, strong early game jungler versus a Zac. So Olaf versus Zac, you guys can guess. Olaf definitely wins. All right. So Olaf's going to try to abuse his lead early, otherwise Olaf's just going to fall off and get outscaled by Zac. So what we're doing here is we're checking to make sure that Olaf's not invading our blue since we're starting our red. Um, I actually almost die here. I think right. I almost die here. I could have just died. But luckily for me, I don't. But the idea was that the ward over here would spot this Olaf invade. So the Oriana game I had played first, I actually learned from that and was like, okay, my jungle's in a weak matchup. We are starting red. I'm gonna ward the left-hand side. So that's kind of like learning and adapting to the game and applying what you learned into your actual games. All right. And so thankfully I don't like get flash taunted and die, but we see Olaf starting our red. All right. And so that's really good information for us to know. We see Syndra coming on the left, so I decide to push. If she stayed at the blue buff, I would have just last hit here. I'm very good at missing the first 3 minions, like well, at least one of them. It's one of my main talents. And so if you don't have a very basic jungle, knowledge, generally what's going to happen is the map is going to be split. So my Zac is doing these camps, and then their Olaf is doing these camps. It's very unlikely if that Olaf would do this and then wrap around and go through mid. If we did, we would see him. I need to be a little bit careful if he comes from this area, but he does have blue buff and not red buff, so I won't be like as threatened, I guess you could say. And so when my Zac is going for this invade, the most important thing for me to do is to get the push lead, all right? And so in the Oriana game, I was getting the push lead, but I didn't actually fully crash it under turrets. So the Fizz actually didn't miss that many creeps. Um, and so if I get the push lead here, then I can safely go help my Zac in case Senna and Varus come to help him. Um, and I think it would be hard for our bot lane to get prio against a Senna and Varus, so it's very risky for our Zac to go for this play, and they should 100% know that he's going for this play. So I think right here it's actually okay to trade HP to get the wave prio. So if I need to get hit, then that's just something I have to do. I ping that Syndra's missing. I don't want to follow yet because I want to get this wave in. But he knows that she's coming and that she's still level 1. And so here Syndra's put into a situation that is kind of similar in a way. She doesn't have prio, and my bot lane decides to move first. The support comes, but the AD carry is staying, and then their bot lane is coming. And so this might be a call by one of them. They're like, I want to collapse. I want to collapse on the Zac. He should be able to get our blue because, we are strong earlier or something. But I catch out Syndra here. I just spam auto her. Luckily that charm hits. In this moment, I know I could probably kill her. And then after this, we get their blue buff, we get 2 kills, and we get her flash, and then playing Syndra into Zac, and like the Syndra was pretty good, but like she wasn't eating the Zac's E very much. But Syndra without flash against Zac is very hard, or against any jungler is very hard. From this point, the game was like pretty won, I'd say. Like we had a substantial lead. And so the biggest thing that we need to keep in mind is we, as a mid laner, or as any laner in fact, like even bot lane and even top lane, we need to keep in mind the jungle matchup and how it works. If the enemy jungle is like strong early, we can expect them to do something aggressive, and so we need to be able to counterattack so our jungler doesn't fall behind. And so in this case, they invade our blue, and so Zac has to go for their blue if he wants to get double buffs and not triple buffed. And so what I did is I instead of just like playing the name like lane normally and last hitting, I made sure to push in the wave like as quick as I could so that I could go help in this fight. And so even if the Syndra, the Syndra shouldn't actually come to this fight. The Syndra should just last hit. They should just give up this blue buff and then split jungle. But um, people make mistakes. But what I'm trying to say is like being proactive with your play that your jungler has to make or that your jungler is going to make is very important. How you set up your lane and how you are planning to move around the map and how you ward. For instance, the ward I placed at level 1 is even providing value here. You can see the Olaf running back into his jungle after he probably did our 3 camps here. If you press tab, maybe he has 12 CS. And so learning and adapting from your mistakes, for instance, that Orianna game was a huge mistake. Um, we maybe could have won it, but I'd say it's like literally just coin flipping the game when we have like a weaker early jungle compared to a Lee Sin. And so instead of coin flipping the game this game, like I took precautions to try to not coin flip the game and instead create favorable outcomes. And so you may look at this play and be like, well, it was just like random, but there was like actually a lot of methodology to it of getting the ward, seeing Olaf is at our blue, getting the wave push, and then catching Syndra here and not letting her come to the fight while I'm level 2 and she's level 1. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll probably do an Ari vs Syndra replay review, so if you want to watch that, be sure to check that one out. Peace, guys.